Live from America's heartland, this is the Daily Truth Report with your host, Noah Christopher.
Welcome back to the Daily Truth Report. I'm your host, Noah, and returning today for a very special episode because we are right in the heart of September and we have a lot to talk about. We're talking market crashes, we're talking Bitcoin huge moves, and a whole lot more. And we're talking about the Queen and everything else in the news. And he's going to pull it all together. On the screen is our good friend, Bo Polny. Bo, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Noah. God bless you, your family, and all your viewers. Thank you for having me here, and it's a true pleasure. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Bo had such a busy week, but he carved out about 45 minutes to come chat with us, and I'm so happy that he did. So for anybody who's new, I know we have every time we have Bo on the show, we have a lot of people that put this right to the top of their viewing. But for anybody who's new and hasn't heard Bo before or doesn't know who he is, you're really going to like him. He's one of our most popular guests. He's all over YouTube, but he's also been on CNBC. He's been viewed on YouTube over 5 million times, probably closer to 10 million now since that stat's been updated. And so what does he do? Bo is an analyst of time. So he looks at the time cycles in our world, time cycles that are in the Bible. And the Bible tells us that cycles repeat, and a lot of them are repeatable and dependable. And the sun, moon, and stars move in time cycles. And there's all of these cycles all throughout the Bible. And so Bo takes those, he looks at them, and then he looks at our world and he sees what cycles we're in and where we're at in those cycles. And Bo, that's my summary of it. But for anybody who has never met you before, explain anything I left out or what you do. How do you analyze time?
And to keep it simple, it's true, it's correct. You know, the Bible talks about there's a season for everything under the sun. You know, a time to rejoice, a time to be sad, a time for everything. And so there's a time for everything in life. And when you look at time, it's scriptural. In the Bible, it talks about the time of Daniel. It also talks about the time of Noah. It talks about the time windows, the timelines. And there's a reason when you read the Bible, it gives you the precise time windows. And so one perfect example was the time window from when Trump got elected. And the time window is written in Daniel, and the scripture basically talks about 1,260 days. So a beautiful example, which a viewer can confirm this, but when you go and you confirm the date that President Trump was first elected, right? That date, time point, was specifically November 8th of 2016. Well, you run the Daniel cycle, so this is one example for you, of 1,260 days forward, and precisely, we've done several interviews with you and Noah and other people as basically stating that something big, historic, whatever, you know, biblical, whatever it is, supposed to happen on April 20th or the 21st of the year 2020. Well, what happened, right? We literally saw oil for the first time in human history, and history went not only to $0, it went negative $38 a barrel in the markets, and the US dollar is tied to the oil, right? The petrodollar. So we saw the foreshadowing of what's about to happen here in the second cycle. So all I can tell you is, you know, that's a beautiful example of how using the Bible to predict things that are going to happen in our world, because it happened, right? And now we're at another Bible time calculated time point of 888 days. So as using the marker of time of oil, 888 days, and we've talked about this in our prior interview, but 888 days is this September. Not only is it this September, Noah, it's this September 25. So this September 25 is a historic and a critical biblical calculation. And you know, if you're looking on slides, you can look that on page 8 since you got the slides up. But page 8 shows you what I'm speaking about from from April 20th of the year 2020, slide 18. Slide 18 specifically shows you September 25, 880 days. So that's a good place to start. But basically, you can use the Bible time windows that are written in the Bible. So I'm not taking numerology, I'm just saying time windows that are written in the Bible, and overlaying those time windows on present day, we can find historic and biblical and critical dates for our world. So what we're staring at there right now is a critically important date for our world. What happens? I have no idea. But I promise you, I really feel in my heart that day, not that 24th, 25th date of September is not going to go by without something enormous of biblical proportions occurring.
Okay, so that's up on the screen, September 25th, 2022. You've been telling us about that date for a long time, Bo, and I'm going to put the links to our prior interviews down below this video so you can go back and watch them. Bo was on a couple weeks ago. He really hammered it home that that's a critical date to watch, but it wasn't just 2 weeks ago. It's been for the past year. Bo has
If you
had
go to
this
page
date
10,
circled.
please click on page 10, and you'll see
Bo,
why.
I should tell everybody, because these things get uploaded and re-uploaded and all that stuff. And we're recording this today on September 13th of 2022. So if anybody wants to know, the day that Bo and I are talking is September 13th, 2022. And we'll see what happens after that. So here we are, slide 10, Bo.
Actually, backtrack even one more page if you can go to page 9, because you mentioned we've been talking about this for about a year or whatever it's been. So page 9, why have Noah and I been discussing September 24th? Because if you look very top there, right, it says the year of Jubilee, you shall consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land and to all of its inhabitants. So liberty throughout the land. But if you look at that slide, it says Rosh Hashanah, September 6, 2021, the very top right. And
Yes.
it ends on September 24, 2022. So there is your 50-year Jubilee. So why have we been speaking about September 24th is because God's calendar, not man's calendar, God's calendar began on September 6th of last year, and it ends on September 24 this month of this year. All I know is that 50 years ago, the next slide, abortion began. They argued in the first argued Supreme Court on December 13th of 1971. 50 years later would be December 13th of 2021. So we are in right now this 50-year Jubilee cycle.
And absolutely historic things happening. Bo has been coming on this show since 2019 and telling us that Roe versus Wade was going to be overturned. And I love the idea, but I honestly, when Bo first said it, I didn't think there was any way it was possible. It was kind of like a nice idea, Bo. Thank you. We sure hope so, but probably not going to happen. And he stayed the course, and he told us year after year that's coming. And it came in the 50-year Jubilee window. This Jubilee year is not something that Bo has created. It's right in your Bibles. There's a group of 7 years, and then 7 groups of 7 years makes up 49. And then the Bible talks about the 50th year being this Jubilee year where debts are wiped out, where things are set right.
Page 32.
Perfect. Let's go to it. And we're just setting the stage. We're going to get back to page 1. For everybody who saw page 1 and thought, that looks really interesting, we're going to get back there, but we're just setting the stage for anybody that hasn't seen Bo before, that this is some cool stuff. And you can go back and watch our prior interviews, because it's the really nice thing, Bo, is it's all documented. You've made videos with us for 3 years. So here's 32.
So you were just speaking about the 7-year cycle. It's called the Shemitah cycle, and Jonathan Cahn wrote a book about it. Mystery Shemitah. So the point is, we are at the next, the 8th Shemitah right here. This is
the eighth grouping of 7 years.
Yes.
Yes, and look at those other dates. Anything big happen in those years? 2008, 2001. Now, what was with 2015? Why did we not see anything big there?
There's always, when you read the Shemitah cycle, it's in Leviticus, but it talks about the year of rest. And so a year of rest is always a 7th cycle. It's the perfect example would be, you read the Bible. Creation was 6 days, and what did God do on the 7th day?
1 day of rest.
That's right.
Yes. Well, Look, I'm just looking at these, Bo, for anybody. Sometimes we have people that listen to these and can't and don't watch the video. They're listening while they're driving or something. Look at these years. We have 1966. There was a 20% market drop. Maybe not as familiar to most people. 1973, the famous oil crash, also the year of Roe versus Wade. These are the 7-year cycles. 1980, that's when the recession began. A lot of people lived through that. 1987, that's the big stock market crash that everybody knows and remembers. I think Black Monday would be 1987. 1994, the bond market crash. A lot of people remember that. So it's not always the same thing. It's not always, oh, every 7 years the stock market crashes, but it does happen a lot. 2001, we got a stock market crash again, and we got 9/11. It's just incredible how these things are lining up. 2008, of course, the Great Recession, the housing crash, the stock market crash. Then we have the year of rest, and then that puts us right into 2022. So far, I'd say it's been a historic year. It's been a crazy year, but we haven't seen one of these events yet. And they
Right.
always tend to happen in the fall, don't they? For some reason, September,
Well, no,
October.
but you're actually stating correctly, because read what it says under 2022. A mega crash event, possibly, some kind of crazy events about to go down. But the key is underneath that, Elul 29. So all of those events you earlier discussed in the prior 7-year cycles all occur, you said fall time, because specifically Elul 29 is the day that these events go down. This year, Elul 29 is September 24th.
Okay, there you go. September 24th, rolling right into the 25th.
Right, and
So
it's the last day of the 50th year. So
wow.
all I'm saying is September 24 is a powerful, powerful time point. And let me tell you, evil knows this. So do expect something horrible.
And it really feels like it too. It feels like everything is in chaos. It feels like they're doing everything they can. You've got this raid on MAL down in Florida. It seems like there's every last ditch effort to try and stop this, and it's not working. And that's just my take. But as we come to the end, and you feel that corner dog, it really seems like they're coming to the end. And I can't wait. September 24th and 25th is less than 2 weeks away from when we're recording this interview. Our guest today, Bo Polny, is back on the show. We're so happy to have him. And we just really jumped right into this. We've been bouncing all around. I want to take you back up here to the top, slide 3. I'm going to put that on the screen. Anybody that has a smartphone with a camera, which is everybody, go ahead and you can point just get your normal camera app out, point that to the screen on this QR code. It's going to give you a link to tap with your finger. That will give you this slide presentation for free. Everything Bo is talking about here today is given away for free. He's taking his time for free, and this presentation and the slide deck, everything is free. So you can scan that to get this presentation. It's a big file, so give it some time to download. Or I'm also just going to put the link that you can click down below this video wherever you're watching it. So please grab this and save it to your computer. I know we have a lot of people that email me and tell me that they love the presentation, and they watched it a couple times, and they spent some time just going through these slides, because we're not going to cover every single one today, but we've already jumped around to a few, and I want to go back to number 1, Bo, because I want to talk. We've already talked a little bit, but we're going to talk more about stock market crash. Is this going to be the big one? Is it going to be bigger than 08? Is it going to be bigger than 01? And then I want to talk about Bitcoin, because Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and gold and silver, precious metals, because you have a lot of thoughts on those. You run your time cycles on those, just like you do the stock market, and just like you do the news in our world. And so I know you have some really big thoughts on the stock market and on which way Bitcoin's going, and it's going to be a historic, explosive move soon. Not going to say to the up or to the down yet, but we'll get there. Hang in there. But before we get to that, we have to start on this first slide, because since we had you on 2 weeks ago, you told us it was going to be a busy month. But how about the Queen dying at age 96? There we go. It happened in the last 2 weeks. And there's a lot more beneath the surface here, Bo. I think I'm going to let you take us through it. But I have been so excited to get your thoughts on this as to where she falls in the time cycles. Again, Bo does not do numerology. This is not looking at the power of numbers. It's looking at the cycles that God set forth in our world, and how they govern this world. So what happened with the Queen in these cycles, Bo? Go ahead and just take it away.
Okay, so Again, you're correct. This is important. Again, you read the Bible, read Jeremiah, the prophecy of Jeremiah. What did Jeremiah's prophecy, which was read, this prophecy was read by Daniel. It's written in Daniel 9. This was read to King Cyrus, and he fulfilled the prophecy. This is incredible what happened. But what did Jeremiah prophesy? That Israel would go into bondage. Read page 1. What does the top left say there? For how many years, Noah? 70
70.
years.
Yes.
So the prophecy of Jeremiah was that Israel would be in bondage to Babylon for 70 years and then be freed from bondage, allowed to go back to Israel, Jerusalem, and rebuild the temple. And King Cyrus, king of Babylon, not a Jew, the king of Babylon, allowed the prophecy to complete itself. Because if the prophecy is true, no matter what any man does to intervene on the prophecy, to try to change the timeline, which they're trying to do, no matter what any man does, cannot stop the fulfillment of the prophecy. And so, after 70 years, Israel was freed by King Cyrus, fulfilling the prophecy of Jeremiah.
And
Who called out Cyrus by name. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, yes, he was called out in the Bible before he was even born, I believe, and
Yes,
he read his name in the Bible, right, Bo?
Yes, it was 150 years before Cyrus was born. He called out Cyrus by name.
That's pretty cool.
Incredible. He called out Cyrus by name. Then Daniel's reading the prophecy to Cyrus, and Cyrus says, he called me by name. It's incredible. He called out Cyrus by name. But the point I'm trying to make is the queen herself, okay, she was put into power, called queen. This is important to understand. From the time she was called queen to the time of her death, Noah, it was 70 years and 7 months. And today, the interview that we're doing, look right underneath the queen there. It says September 13th. So from the day she was queen, pronounced queen, today, September 13th is 70 years, 7 months, and 7 days.
I knew we had to have you on today. It's just perfect.
So what is the first line written in white there? In a what? How many days? In a single day.
Oh, I see. Yes, I see it. Yes, in a single day.
Single day, the kings of the earth are about to weep and wail. What God has put on my heart is to get across 2 things today. In a single day, this event's going to go down, and we've talked about this how many times on your show?
A lot.
And the second thing to put across is God is in control. Just like fulfilling the prophecy of Jeremiah, Israel was freed from bondage, and they got to return to Jerusalem to rebuild the temple. So we are at 70 years. We talked about cycles. This is a 70-year cycle. This is a 2,000-year cycle or multi-thousand-year cycle. It's 2,500 plus years since Jeremiah, okay? But we are about to witness the fulfillment again of the prophecy of Isaiah and Jeremiah, of where it states, the prophecy of Isaiah states, I will make his way straight, and he will rebuild my cities and set my exiles free. Isaiah 45, verse 13.
And Bo, you've mentioned King, very incredible. You've mentioned King Cyrus, and I think a lot of people listening to this probably know, but President Trump has been compared often to a King Cyrus. In fact, one of the most often comparisons of him to anybody in the Bible is they call him a Cyrus. And so,
yes,
what do you think about that?
Trump is the modern day Cyrus. So if you can actually scroll over to page 7, please. So so I can address your question there, because all these questions are answered on
Oh,
the slides here. So
look at
Trump
that.
is the modern day Cyrus, right? So if you read in the top yellow there, it says 70 years come to an end, and Israel, meaning United States, because they're interchangeable, it's a brother-sister relationship. So what happened to Israel is now happening to the United States, because it's a covenant we have just like Israel has. God had a covenant with Israel because God chose Israel. We chose God, and we have a covenant with God. So we are the sister to Israel. Okay, so what happened in the time of Cyrus is now happening in the time of Trump. Okay, so 7 years comes to an end, and Israel, meaning the United States, is freed from Babylon, England, by decree of King Cyrus, Trump. So that is about to be fulfilled. Okay, it was 70 years precisely from when Israel was declared a nation again, or declared a nation. I forget that slide that was. And then Trump, 70 years later to the precise day, in May of 2018, moves the capital to Jerusalem, fulfilling a portion of the Isaiah prophecy, but it's still Isaiah 45 verse 13 is still not fulfilled, because Second Chronicles talks about he has charged me to build him a house in Jerusalem, which is the words of Cyrus. And so that was the moving of the temple. But we still haven't seen Isaiah 45 verse 13 fulfilled. And here's what it states: I will raise up Cyrus. That was then, right? So now when we're present day, we're going to say, I will raise up Trump in my righteousness. And those people who say, well, Trump's not of God, he's a sinner. Let's just go back to, the prostitute, right? And Jesus Christ in the temple saying, he who has not sinned, throw the first stone.
Yes, that's right.
Let's also go to all the kings of Israel. Every one of them sinned, some much more than others. Look at David, who was loved by God. He had his best friend killed to be with his wife. Okay, so don't tell me that Trump is a sinner, because we all are. But
Very
Trump
good.
uses his vessels, and Trump is God's anointed. Touch not my anointed. And what do they do in Florida? Okay.
Yes.
So they touched his anointed. And so we're about to see a fulfillment of Isaiah 45 verse 13 again. And it states, I will raise up, not Cyrus, but Trump. I will raise up Trump in my righteousness. I will make his way straight. Again, I will make his way straight. That means he's going to walk right in to the White House.
I love
Not zigzag, no. Just when all this is discovered, he will immediately be able to walk right back into the White House, because everything will be, it's a do-over. And this goes back to the Supreme Court will be forced to announce this. But he'll walk right back into the White House. And then it says, so again, I will raise up Trump in my righteousness. I will make his ways straight. He will rebuild my cities and set my exiles free, but not for a price or reward, says the Lord. And this will be the fulfillment and the marker, the fulfillment of Isaiah 45, verse 13. The marker in time was the death of the queen, the harlot. She is the marker. She is the one that's written about in Revelation 17 and 18. The harlot, Babylon, the fallen is Babylon the Great. And I'm telling you, this is awesome when you understand. If you can please look at page 5, because this gives the viewers a visual of what just happened, okay? So I saw a woman sitting. A woman means the harlot, the prostitute of Babylon. So she's a symbol. Whatever her beliefs were, I don't want to get into that concept of whether she loved, she was a Christian or loved Jesus. I'm not getting into any of that. She was the symbol. She was the symbol of the satanic empire, okay? And I saw a woman, a harlot, sitting on a scarlet beast that was full of blasphemous names, and it had 7 heads and 10 horns. The 7 heads are the 7 mountains that have been captured. So when you have a rider on a horse, the rider controls the direction of the horse, does he not?
Mm-hmm.
The rider is dead. The rider riding the scarlet beast of 7 heads, or 7, in this case, 7, yes, the 7 heads, is dead. There is the beast no longer has someone riding it. We're about to see the fall of the church, of what they've built, the family unit that they're trying to create, the education system that they are trying to create, the government that they are trying to implement, the entertainment that they have pushed upon us, and the media that has been shouting their agenda. And their financial system is about to be destroyed. We are about to witness the fall of Babylon. Babylon the Great has fallen. We're about to witness a historic event. And when Babylon goes down, everything we know in the natural is about to change. It's going to be crazy awesome. But we live in end times, so don't let those telling you that this is now leading to 1,000 years of peace. Oh, no. We are going to witness this fall of Babylon is, in Scripture, the 3rd seal of Revelation. The 3rd seal is page 28. The 3rd seal is Revelation 6, verses 5 through 6, but it talks about the death angel, or talks about the black horse, which is death, is going to come visit these people in fall. And the second thing is the greatest financial event is, what's the rider holding? Scales. And we've talked about this before, Noah. The last time, the most powerful time in the Bible, we talked about Daniel, the scales were referenced was what happened to Belshazzar. He was drinking from the chalices from the temple. He mocked God. And that night, it was a writing on the wall. Many tekel afshar seem. The translation was, you have been weighed in the balances and found wanting. Your kingdom has come to an end and will be given to the Medes and the Persians. And on that night, King Belshazzar was killed by Darius, the king.
In one day.
Prophecy in a single day, taking us back to slide 1. Yes. In a single day, the kings of this earth, they are about to weep and wail like you've never seen before, because when the truth comes out that they have been hiding for centuries, for generations, the truth is about to come out, and it is going to destroy them.
What about this, Bo? I love this slide. I'm sorry to jump in there. This one, hiding for decades. I was reading this. You say all presidents except for 2 have bloodlines connected to King John of England. Wow.
Yep. Click the link so your viewers can click the link. It's all true. King John of England. So all of this is bloodlines back to the bloodlines that killed Christ. Okay. So it's just like the Vikings. You write it out, Vikings, right? It's the 4 kings.
Oh, huh. Wow.
There's no such thing as a Viking. It's the 4 kings, right? And all of this relates to kings and kings of the earth. That's why it's the 4 VI is 4 kings. You can keep breaking down words and understand why words have meanings. And so all the presidents, they've secretly been controlling the United States through what? The presidents that all have a blood lineage back to England. Look at Canada. I grew up in Canada, right? The prime minister has to swear an oath to the Queen. It's a perfect, simple example. Same thing happens in Australia. These are bloodlines that go around the world. Satan's had 6,000 years to plan this, people. 6,000 years of planning we're watching unfold in front of our eyes right now.
Wow.
Like the Olympics, right? It's not mythology, it's history. Kent Christmas, the prophet, Robin Bullock, who else is it? When the other wonderful preacher has done detailed analysis. What was it? I'm sorry, his name was Jonathan Cahn has done detailed analysis discussions about history and Zeus. Zeus is Satan in a nutshell. It says it's the top of the satanic spirit. It's incredible how all of this relates to history. It's all history. It's not such thing as mythology. And because when you study these creatures, right? They're all half breeds.
Yes.
People, they're half breeds, right? It's like, look at the horse. What does that horse have on him? Wings.
Yeah, hybrid.
It's a hybrid, right? Look at the cars now, the hybrid cars, right? Everything's a hybrid. Because why? What does Satan hate? God's creation. He hates the chromosomes, because the chromosomes are what define us. So what are they trying to do? Mess up the chromosomes with the mRNA technology. Get it? It's to mess up to creation, to create hybrids. That's why mythology is all these creatures. You go back and study all these creatures of mythology. They're half human, half animal, half whatever, but they're half and half. That is what a hybrid is. And thus you have the reason for the great flood. Because it was these creatures, they were giants in the land. You think I'm crazy? Go read Genesis. It talks about the men of renown.
It is. And Bo, we've covered this in prior interviews, and it's so fascinating. Sometime I want to spend a whole show on it with you, because it is, and you're right. It's in Genesis 6:4. You can go read it. It talks about the angels mating with human beings. You can go read it. And then here's what I want you to do. I want you to then think about the entire rest of the Old Testament. And if you have this hybrid race of these monster creatures, which is all described in Genesis, they become the giants. Go read your Bible and see every time the clans of giants are mentioned, and understand these aren't just people that really ate a lot of food and got a little bit bigger than everybody else. These are genetically different creations, races, and not races in the sense that we think of it now. These are different DNA, and it answers. And one of the reasons I love this topic so much is because it answers one of the biggest stumbling blocks for people when they read the Bible, because they read the Bible and they get to the part where Israel is in all of these battles with all these other clans, and God tells them every time, he says, go out and kill them all, wipe them all out, kill the women, kill the children, kill even the animals. Now, most people get really hung up on that, and they say, why? That's it, I'm done reading the Bible. Why would God tell one country to just kill all the rest of them? That is terrible, unless you realize that these are hybrid creatures that he never intended to be created. And then everything starts making a lot of sense. These are not just 7-footers, they are 18-footers. The Og of Bashan was 18 feet by the biblical standard, and then some even bigger than that. So, Bo, someday we are going to have you back on, and we're going to do a whole show on this, because I just think it's so fascinating. You can go back, you can look at this slide 4. Bo's got a much longer presentation on this, but here's just one slide.
That goes back to creation, right? Because that goes back to the flood of Noah. Because when the door closed, I believe it's the bloodline of Seth. There was still the bloodline on one of the 8 people on the ark, and that still continued. And so that was the reason for the great flood, to kill the giants. But then the bloodline still leaked in, got in through Noah's ark, and thus you still have.
Yes, and that people get caught up on that too. Really, God just picked his 8 favorite people? Well, no, maybe he picked the only 8 people that had pure DNA left. Ever think about that? Yeah, and then suddenly all these things start making a lot more sense. Correct. And I'm so glad you brought this up. I didn't even know we'd be talking about this tonight, but this is really fascinating. We're going to talk about it again some other time, but even go back and look at, you've got Greek mythology on the screen.
So we're going to find out when this new era comes into life, all these bones that they have, and these giant bones and everything, they're all hidden in the Smithsonian, right? But we're going to find that these are all true. So soon enough, this year into next year, I don't know the time for it, but very, very soon, it's going to come to the light that the Smithsonian's been hiding all the bones. And so anytime the elongated head skulls as well too, they hide all the elongated skulls, because all the pharaohs had the elongated skulls. That's why they wore those long hats, because they had elongated heads, and they were a different bloodline. So it's very interesting when you start studying all this, but you can actually Google, try to Google skulls, elongated heads, and you'll still see some of the times, or go DuckDuckGo, and you'll see some of them, but it's all there. They hide it, because if the truth came out, what does the truth do? It sets us free, right? The truth destroys them. The point being is back to the conversation of September 24th, 25th. We're at a time point where the truth is about to come out, and these people are about to be destroyed, and we're going to see them weep and wail, as written in Revelation 18, verses 8 through 9. And this will all go down in a single day.
Okay, so this is great. So I want to talk stock market. I want to talk crypto. Before we do that, I always get a question from people that they at this, when we talk about this, people will say, well, wait a second, you're talking about the destruction of our system. This sounds terrible. It sounds like we're going to lose everything. And just talk briefly, Bo,
no, that's a great point. Yeah, those who haven't prepared, those asleep, those who done nothing, because God does nothing before first speaking through his servants, the prophets. I'm not calling myself a prophet. Go listen to Amanda Grace, Julie Green, Lois Vogel Sharp, Ken Christmas, Robin Bullock. There's 5 examples for you right there that have all described a wealth transfer event that's about to happen here, or that's coming very, very shortly. Okay, the prophets have spoken. So those who have not prepared, yes, unfortunately, it's going to be horrific, because Babylon, the financial system, is about to fall. It's about to break. But on the other end of it, those who have prepared are about to see immense blessings like you've never, ever imagined before. So this is the fall of the financial system that we grew up with. But it's written in Revelation, the wealth of the, in Proverbs 13:22, the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. It's written. And so why do the righteous, the ones who prepared, need blessings? Because I was on a podcast earlier, we were talking about what's going on in LA. Los Angeles, I'm not sure what city you're near, Noah, but I can tell you Los Angeles is, an hour drive from where I live. Los Angeles is absolutely beautiful at nighttime when the lights are on at a distance. No, and you go there in the daytime, it's a hellhole. There's people living, it used to be under the bridges. Now they're all over the streets. Noah, it's, Satan has taken, the wealth separation is immense now. You got people with nothing, and then you got trillionaires, okay? So the wealth transfer is for this one reason alone, because a lot of people living on the streets are in a bad way right now. They still love Christ. A lot of them know Christ, but they're in a bad way right now. So what's about to happen is the greatest financial event in human history. So many that have prepared, many who have been setting the stage and preparing, buying God's money, because Haggai 2 verse 8 states, the silver and the gold are mine, saith the Lord. So those who have been preparing financially are about to be enormously blessed, so that we can be a blessing for those around us. And those that love Christ, those who don't have the means right now, but love Christ, know who Christ is, or are soon to come to Christ, guess what? In a kingdom economy, they're all going to have what happened to feeding when Christ fed the 5,000. There was more than enough. When God made water to wine, there was more than enough. So we're about to have more than enough for everybody around us. So we will be blessed to be a blessing to all of those around us. So we're about to see the greatest financial event in human history, because when God intervenes, when his glory manifests, when a miracle's coming, people, when a miracle arrives, that's the manifestation of God's glory on earth. And then everything that we think to be true gets flipped. Yes, the financial system will break like you've never imagined before, but blessings are on the other side of that like you've never imagined before. Why? To build God's church here on earth. Because thy kingdom is coming. It says in the Bible, thy kingdom's coming. And so, so taking us, how does Bitcoin play into that? How do the cryptocurrencies play into that? Understand that it's so important to understand that the silver and the gold are mine, saith the Lord. So ultimately, the only currency to ever own, that you ever want to own, is gold and silver in time, okay? But it's so important to have it now, but also the money system, the Babylon we know the financial system we know is going to break. So a wealth transfer is going to involve 3 things right now. So I want to explain how this is going to play out into the future. So there's 3 massive asset classes that I am involved in. I'm not giving you financial advice. There's 3 classes that I personally am involved in: silver and gold, silver and gold, and the third is blockchain, specifically some of the very good cryptocurrencies. And the reason being, all 3 are incredibly going to do incredible, because the greatest financial event in human history is about to occur. When that event occurs, those 3 asset classes are going to go vertical like you can never imagine. It's going to be incredible what's going to happen here. People are going to be saying shoulda, woulda, coulda, but didn't. It's just going to be over. I should have done it. I should have done something. I didn't do anything. They were telling me I should have, and there's a lot of people sitting on the fence. Okay. But when those 3 things are going to be incredibly powerful when God intervenes. This is the fall of the harlot, not the rise of the beast. I'm going to repeat that. This will be the fall of the harlot. She's already dead. Okay, so the harlot's already dead. And now the beast she rides is about to fall apart. That's the best thing. So the harlot's already, forget the fall of the harlot. She's already dead. The beast she's riding is about to go crazy and just go insane and just fall apart. So the scarlet beast is about to just get destroyed because the harlot's now gone. And soon enough, into the future, we're going to have the rise of the beast. That's when you don't want to own any cryptocurrencies. That's when you don't want blockchain. By that time, you only want precious metals. But we're still years out on that. So those telling me that, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, the mark of the beast, no, they're not. They will turn into something satanic later on or demonic later on, but not right now. They will be directly involved in the wealth transfer. And because they're digital, and because it's going to be easier, because when this event goes down, it's going to be very hard to get precious metals. Good luck in getting precious metals. It's going to be very hard. So the money is going to be piling into blockchain faster than gold and silver, even though silver is going to go crazy. But it's just going to be, they're going to try to hold, so it's just going to be, it'll be hard to get precious metals because no one's going to be selling them. And so we're going to be seeing the cryptocurrencies explode probably faster than even silver, but it's going to be hard to say. Silver's going to go crazy too. But I'm just telling you, but cryptocurrencies, some of the good ones, they're going to go powerful because it'll be easier for some people to get involved, because it'll be very hard later to get precious metals. And those who do have precious metals are, into the future, we're talking generational wealth.
Wow. And I'm glad you covered all that, because we get that question every time. Isn't cryptocurrency just going to be the mark of the beast and the worst thing ever? And it's like anything. Technology and tools can be used for good or evil. And what I'm hearing you say is that there's going to be a time here where cryptocurrency is going to front run everything else. You want to be in on that rise, and then at some point you want to get out, because you want to get back into gold and silver, God's money, and in all of it, where you don't want to be, I think I'm hearing you say is you don't want to be in the dollar or in the stock market. So
no, if you can please go to page, please go to page 12. Go to page 12, please.
12. Okay. There we go.
And so this is what I want to show you. See, the dollar was good until Satan got involved and detached it from gold.
Wow.
1971. You see what I'm saying?
So
those that don't understand, see, the dollar was good, even though it's the creature from Jekyll Island. It was created with an evil intent, but ultimately it was still good for a while because it allowed for fair transactions, and it was attached to the dollar, right? To gold, sorry. But when they finally took it off the gold standard and they detached, Nixon severed the link between gold and the dollar. That's when it truly became satanic. And then you got what you got now, 50 years later, okay? So you can couple that event with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, right? Right now, cryptocurrencies have a good use purpose. It's later on when evil is going to intervene. I hope that gives a good explanation of why cryptos are good now, but bad later.
Yeah, thank you for covering that, Bo. That's really helpful. So we've talked about the stock market, you've danced around it, but are we in for a massive crash coming soon? I want to go to that
Page
slide.
25. Page 25 basically shows this was the cycle that was shown to me. I got a top left coin, 124. That's the actual card, my coat check card that I got in March of 2019. And that night, God showed me this cycle, which I drew out that night. And basically, that cycle foretold the crash of 2018 to the exact month. It foretold the crash of March. So that foretold the crash of December that happened in 2018. It foretold the exact month of March of 2020, where the markets would crash. There was a 10-day drop in June of 2021. And the next cycle crash that it foretold, that it's foretelling, whether it happens or not, only God knows. But I'm showing you this chart pattern predicted the crash of 2018, the crash of 2020, and now it's predicting September, this month, of 2022, which correlates with what we talked about Jonathan Kahn Shemitah, Elul 29, earlier.
Yes.
So all I know is, we talked about Elul 29. Elul 29 is 2 weeks from now. What happens? I don't know. God knows. But I tell you, the cycles that I've shown you, I've referenced Leviticus. I've talked to you about the 888 cycle, pointing to September 24th. Haggai 2, verse 8 states September 24th. Every cycle we look at is pointing to September 24th. And the 25th is, if you can go to page 30, September 25th on page 30 talks about the day after, September 25. Page 30 is Rosh Hashanah. It's the start of year 51. So year 50 ends. So what is Rosh Hashanah? It's the first day of creation. Noah, it's day one of creation. It's the birth of Jesus, the birth of Noah. Noah saw dry ground and a new era was birthed. It's the birth of Abraham, the birth of Jacob. It's the day when Joseph went from the pits to the palace in a single day. It's the new beginning. It's a new birth. It's a new era. If you go to page 20, I said new birth, new era. Page 20, January 1 of this year, 2022. If you go to page 22, January 1, if a full term of a child is 38 weeks. Some will argue, but I've done the research. Some say 39, some say 40, but actual it's 38 weeks. There's a couple references that are referenced in there at 38 weeks. 38 weeks precisely from January 1. Oh, September 24th. When I saw that, I'm like, are you kidding me? Another calculation pointed to September 24th, full term of the birth of a new.
Wow.
So that's all I can tell you. We're at a point in time which is expected to be a time point the world will never forget. You can go to page 41. Page 41 is shows you kind of what I expect to see happening here on page 41. The birth of a new era, page 41. There it is right there. Okay, the Great Awakening.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Bo, what about, so before we move off the stock market, you're talking about extreme danger, and you look at the cycles, you look at time, you don't necessarily know the event or what will happen, but are we talking, is this like a 20% crash, or are you talking like a big 50% crash? You see this having the potential to be a big one?
I don't know. Okay, I don't know. God gives me dates, not prices. But if you look at page 25, so I'm not going to, this is not prophetic or, God didn't show me like this. Okay. He showed me the month of September. Okay. But if you look at that page on page 25, you look at the black line, it takes the Dow, the support comes in on that black line, which stopped the crash of 2020 of March at 38%. That takes the Dow down to 12,000.
Wow.
12,000 on the Dow from the top is about a 66% crash.
Wow. Okay.
So I don't know. Will it hit and then you look at the next page, page 26, right? Page 26 says, so point one, it could be only maybe 19,000. Yeah, that'll be point number one, top right corner. So that'd be 20,000-ish on the Dow, 47%. Second target will be 12,000. We talked about that, 66%. Okay. Third target will be 7,000, will be 80%. And the maximum potential target would be a massive wipeout, which would be a complete plunge, 86% wipeout of the stock market, taking it down to just 5,050, and that'd be point number four. So I have no idea which of those targets would get hit. I'm just showing you the patterns and the charts. I don't care. All I'm saying is those in the stock market, and I've listened to I've given you the 5 prophets earlier. Every one of them have stated historic market event, financial event coming. So when God intervenes, expect biblical. So that's all I can tell you. And so when Babylon falls, don't be surprised if one of those targets easily gets hit. And then that will be, and then the prophetic word is actually this. This is the word from Lois Vogel Sharp, given about the stock market crash. And that's not a crash. She didn't use the word crash. She used the word collapse. The collapse, please listen carefully. The collapse will be the victory needed to stop the furthering of this evil regime. They're finished.
Regime, yes. Wow.
And that's on page 27.
Well, before you go, and you've been so generous with your time as always. We always get started and we say, maybe
I know.
we'll just do 30 minutes, and then
we're shooting for 30.
But I know everybody listening is so happy that you went into everything you did, and we have to hit one more thing before you go. We have to talk about cryptocurrencies, because you've talked a lot about that. And how to prepare and which side you want to be positioned on if we see some of these historic biblical events. And so I know most people, when they hear your name and when they tune into your shows, one of the biggest things they want to hear from you is what is Bo saying about Bitcoin. So if I let you go without talking about that, I'd have a lot of angry people at me. So I'm pulling up the chart here that you've put. This is from, for those that don't know, Bo runs a newsletter. The one thing that he does that's a paid service is you can subscribe to his newsletter if you want. It tells what he's seeing in terms of the very detailed moves. He's giving you the big picture here today. He puts that out for free, but he does have people that want to hire him and give every couple of days get an update on exactly which way are we going, the ups and the downs, and then when are the big moves coming. So he puts that out. He's put a little clip of that from his newsletter in here. If the newsletter is not all charts, so if you don't know how to read charts, don't worry about it. I don't know how to read charts, but Bo puts charts in there and then he explains them, and he writes the newsletter just like he's talking to us in this interview, where he just explains it very clearly, and he tells you what he sees next in the cycle. So, Bo, I know, and we're not going to say for sure which way this is going, because that wouldn't be fair to your subscribers. They do subscribe to your service, but you, I think it's fair to say you are seeing a massive. The word on the screen I'm reading is breakout coming. Breakout could mean up or down. Tell us about that. Tell us, we've kind of been in this holding pattern. Explain that to us, and explain to us, I think it's like imminent, right? That a major breakout is coming. I'll turn it over to you.
Right. So everything I do, like we talked about today, I want my job, my goal. God has blessed me. Okay. He's showing me these things that, really have allowed me to be blessed. And so my presentation, that I do, I just want people to be awake and aware of what's coming. Okay. So we do these interviews. Now, those people who, want to get involved in cryptocurrencies, because God's money, gold and silver, Haggai 2 verse 8, the silver and the gold are mine, saith the Lord. So if you understand precious metals, or you really don't know much about how to, what to do with cryptocurrencies, then God's money is where it's at, period. Okay. And it's not complicated. Go to your local dealer, go to my website. I've got 4 or 5 dealers, in the US, some in Canada, 1 or 2 in Europe, so great places that you can go, just use them and go get precious metals. Cause if you feel in your heart that you should be doing that, then I give you some reliable places of where you can get precious metals. Those who are involved or want to be involved or are involved in cryptocurrencies want to know the patterns, Yes. Life repeats itself. God has shown me some really amazing things within the chart patterns. So if you go back up to one page there on page 42, this is from our newsletter just recently. The top there is the historic cycle. That has what already happened historically. The one in slight yellow underneath it is present day. Look at the turns from A to B to C to D. Noah, I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing, but I'd say that's nearly identical to almost within 24 hours, those turns are coming in.
Amazing. Yes, this looks copied. Yeah.
It's these are two different charts. One's from like years ago and one's from now. Noah, they turn on the same day, because what does Ecclesiastes state? That which has been will be again, to the start of our presentation. So life replays itself. So all I know is the chart patterns replay themselves. And so right now, Bitcoin is trading in that pink channel. It's stuck. It's been like for 3 months. It's been since June. It's been stuck in that sideways channel, trading up and down and up. And it's got a floor at 19, and then it come up, hits it at 24, and it comes back down. It's been bouncing around. So all I can tell you, we're coming into a point where it's going to break out of that pink channel. Is it going to collapse with a stock market crash? Is it going to explode because of the stock market crash? Those are things that we talk about in our newsletter. So if you're involved in cryptos, want to know more details, you want to know how that chart up top continues on, we show you the chart up top. We show you the points going into the future. And so it's pretty fascinating. Also, we cover in the newsletter is the other coins that are not even Bitcoin, because they are going to perform even stronger on a percentage basis than Bitcoin will. Bitcoin can be compared to gold, and silver can be compared to some of these alternate coins. So when gold goes, a gentleman I used to go on stage with, Jim St. Clair, used to call silver gold on steroids. Well, that's what the alternate coins, some of these are going to be. They're going to be Bitcoin on steroids is what some of these alternate coins are going to be. And the strong ones we cover within our newsletter, and the ones that I personally like. So the ones that I like, I show you what percentages I hold and what I have, of them relative within my newsletter, called the Bitcoin Index. So that's a summary of those that want to be involved in cryptocurrencies, and are already involved, but want to know details of movements, direction, and timing. That's what's covered in my newsletter. And the last point I'll make. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Before we move on from that, I just want to say, Bo tells you what he's seeing, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. Whether it's going up or down, or whether it's going to be trapped in that sideways, because he did tell us, and you can see in that sheet there, he says July, August, September, price suppression continues. And he told us that in the newsletter. I get the newsletter. I love reading it. I read it every time I get an email alert. I drop what I'm doing and I read to see what the latest update is. But Bo told us, he said, hey, it's gonna be boring here for a little bit. The cycle is showing that we're gonna be trapped, and there's gonna be price suppression and price compression. And I thought, oh, that's too bad. And sure enough, it was boring for the last couple months. But now he's saying, watch out. He's got that bright red text there, channel breakout coming. So I'm so excited to see that we're finally going to get some action, and I'm really excited about it. So if you want that, go get that. Bo always says, I love how he says it, and I like to say it for him just so he doesn't have to. But if you just want to listen to this interview and just go buy gold and silver or go buy Bitcoin, go do it. That's fine. The Bo is not pressuring anybody to buy anything. He puts this out for free, and that's why we love having him on the show. We like having good quality people that give great information. For the people that are out there, and it's not everybody, but for the people that want that more detailed information, I personally love getting that newsletter. So that's for you. So that's this screen 43, slide 43. The other thing Bo does, and again, I like to say it so he doesn't have to. He's generous enough whenever he comes on our show. He gives anybody listening a discount. If you want to get this newsletter, you go to his website, gold2020forecast.com, and you put in there's going to be a box when you get there, and it says what promo code do you want to use, what discount code, and you type in WLT49. It's going to give this to you for 50% off, and you get to try it and see if you like it. And the other thing I like to tell everybody is you don't just get the new stuff. The entire archive is in there once you get access to this thing, so you can go back And don't believe the charts that we just put up there. Go see what Bo's been saying historically, and then compare it to what happened. I did that when I first started, and I was really impressed. So if you want that, it's slide 43. It's at gold2020forecast.com. And if your head is spinning right now, because I know we're going to have a lot of those people too. If you are thinking, you know what, I know I need to get into this. I know I need to get into Bitcoin or even some of the other ones. I want to get the bigger percentage gains. If maybe Bitcoin's not going to go up percentage wise as much as some of the other ones. But if you don't even know where to start, and if you're worried about doing something wrong and losing money, which is a real thing, we've all done it. We've all learned the hard way, because I didn't have a training like this. When I started back in 2017 learning this stuff, and I just had to learn it through trial and error. But if you want someone to take your hand from start to finish, tell you exactly which websites are safe, which exchanges are safe, how to get your stuff and store it in your own wallet, in your own safe custody, it can be really confusing, and you can be so nervous that you get paralyzed and never start. And so I love this other thing that Bo put together. I've actually been asking him to do it for a long time, and he finally did. And he calls it the Easy Crypto School. And so if you are just really overwhelmed by this, but you want to get started, this is the slide for you. It's slide 44. And again, Bo puts the same discount code on this just because he wants people to get started on this. So you go to easycryptoschool.com. Again, you look for that promo code, discount code box, you type in WLT49. He's going to give you 50% off because you watch this interview. And we first announced this about a month ago, and I have gotten so many emails from people who have tried this and loved it. And it's just been a huge hit. And I love people who are being helped. And that's why we have the people on our show that we do, people that tell you to prepare, tell you how to prepare, and then take you like this and train you from start to finish. If that's you, Bo, I'll let you. It's your school. You can fill in any gaps that I left out. But I sometimes I like to brag on you, so you don't have to. And I can personally say that I know this is going to help a lot of people, and I love that.
I can say this: gone will be the day of the middleman. When you go to the bank, you want to send a wire. What's it for? Who are you sending it to? Do you know these people? You go to the bank. I want to pull out several $1,000s. What's it for? Or why do you need it? But we don't have that amount of cash. We got to put an order in for you. It'll take several days, and then the money will come pick it up on Friday.
Where did you get this money from?
Right, and then so the point is that's a middleman. But if you screw up, you can always contact a middleman to try to fix something for you. That's the point of the system when it's running correctly, right? What's about to happen when the system goes down, that the middleman goes down with it, because that's where evil always is, in the middle. Okay, that's how they control you. And so if you hold a coin in your hand, Noah, it's you and the coin. Are you with me?
Right.
There's no middleman. That's why you want to own precious metals, as an example, because there's no middleman. When you own cryptocurrencies, you learn how to control cryptocurrencies, and it's you and your control mech with your wallet, wherever you're storing it, and there's no middleman. And so the goal of learning how to get involved with cryptocurrencies, because this is a big step for some people, because understand, when the system goes down, you may still want to buy something that someone's got in Florida, but you live in Iowa, or you live in California and you want to buy something from Germany.
Yep.
How are you going to do it? How are you going to do it, aside from setting a coin of silver or gold, and then you're not going to get change on it? So my question is, how are you going to do it? Understand, the harlot is about to fall. The beast system that they're implementing is not happening yet. There's a window of time where the world will be transacting, and the world's going to be running to, how do I get involved in cryptocurrencies? Because I want to buy something at distance in Florida, in California, in Germany, in Singapore. I want to buy. How do I do it? And so the world's going to be running to, how do I get involved in cryptocurrencies? I need to know how to do this. And when that moment arrives, most exchanges will be closed. Your bank will be closed, and it'll take a while for the banks even to get going, and most of them will not even open up. And so it's going to be horrible, and it's going to be like this big, like when the Twin Towers went down, that was called a collapse.
Yes.
Took a while for New York to get going again.
Everything stopped.
This is what's about to happen. It's a collapse. It's not a crash that's coming, it's a collapse. And then it's going to take a while for things to get going. So if you don't know how to get involved in cryptocurrencies, the school will, if anything, show you how to do it quickly and easily and not mess up. Because when everyone's going to want to know how to do it, they won't be able to. And it's going to be like that, after the rubble, it's just going to take time for everything to get going again. And those who were on the smart side and got involved and already have their wallets and things set up, they'll be able to get involved pretty quick. Those who have precious metals are going to be involved, can get back in transactions pretty quick. Everything, they're not going to have to go through that horrific transition, that happened, as example, what happened in New York, where it just took time to rebuild. So everything that we know is about to change. Those who prepare up front will be miles ahead. And those who are today sitting on the fence, waiting to see if what Noah and Bo are talking about is going to really happen. Mark my words, if you're sitting on the fence, you've chosen poorly. You've already chosen. If you're sitting on the fence, you've already chosen, because you've chosen to do nothing. And that's not my word. That's the word of God through the prophet Kent Christmas. Those who have chosen to do nothing, you have already chosen.
Wow, that's really good. And prepare means a lot of things. And I love when you come on and you tell people that, yes, it means if you have the ability and you feel led to do it, to get some gold, some silver, some cryptocurrencies. It also means when you're at the store, maybe you buy a couple extra bags of pasta, or you buy just a couple extra things each time you go. You get some extra water.
The first point of preparation, but the first point of preparation will be, those who accept Christ. That's the most important. Accept Christ into your heart. That's the first point of preparation. But then, you got John the Baptist saying, prepare the way for the Lord. So if you accepted Christ, you know who he is now, prepare the way. So get some food, get some water. It doesn't hurt to have some extra, and then if you have extra means, some cash, why not read Haggai 2, verse 8, the silver and the gold are mine, saith the Lord. And then we know we're not in end times point where the beast is about to rise. So the Antichrist is not coming on scene just yet. Okay. So we're going to have immense financial shift, and cryptocurrencies are going to allow for the transaction at distance, meaning globally. So we're at this massive point in time. We are like, I'm laughing because it's like we've talked about this for so much, and all I know is that if there's ever a point in time where I in my heart feel that God is about to do something, all I can see, all I can calculate, all I can read through scriptures, all I can listen to through the prophets, everything points to the time window of September 24th, 25th as being a moment in time. Yes, I think they have a plan. There's a German chancellor that actually stated, you might have seen this, September 24th will be a day the world will remember where they were or will never forget. So do expect they are planning a final attack. So please, whatever they do, remember God's in charge. God's in charge. And whatever their plans are for September 24th, because they know God's calendar, okay? As much as I'm talking, they know God's calendar.
Wow.
So as much as I'm talking and saying is they have a plan, and whatever their plan is, it's not good. It's satanic, it's demonic. Whatever their plan is for the 24th or the 23rd or whatever happens, whatever their plan is, it's bad. Okay? But pay not attention to their plan. It's God's counter. It's God's counter to their plan will be the glory. God's counter to their plan will be the manifestation of the glory, and they are finished. And that day of vengeance will be here.
Wow, Bo, I always like to say I give you the last word, and I think you just did it. We could not end on a better summary. That's perfect. Our guest today has been Bo Polny. We are so grateful to have you join us. Bo is with gold2020forecast.com. He's also created the Easy Crypto School. He's one of our favorite guests, and we're going to have you back on soon, Bo. thank you so much for your time and all your information. It's been a real blast tonight.
God bless you, your family, and all of your viewers, Noah. Thank you.